He turned what? He turned 19, and now all of a sudden he's too much of a big shot for us. Is that what it is? Oh, 18, and he turned 18, so now all of a sudden he's too much of a big shot for us. Good, good. Well, tech. Go ahead. I got most of it off during my show, but I think I still have a little bit left. Let's first of all let's get the situation right here. He did not get released. He is retiring as of post game Friday, so he is going to play in. So he's going to Boston, but he's going to play in Boston for the Yankees this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He is going to play Friday's game against the Rays, and then after that, he is officially retired. He will stay in the Yankee organization, however, through next season as a minor league mentor or trainer or whatever the heck job title they want to give him. Um, as I said, I don't hate A Rod. I do hate the team. I don't hate A Rod. As I said on my show several times, I was a supporter of his uh, throughout the biogenesis witch hunt, which is exactly what that was. Um, but it's definitely time. And the guy in his last 7 games that he's played is batting 1 for 17. That's a batting average of .059. He's gotten 10 hits in his last 30 games, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs. He is not performing at all. Like I said, if this was a situation to where he's batting maybe 250, 260, and the Yankees have this youth injection of youth that they've got going on right now, which they've sorely needed, um, then I can see him try to stick around. But he has not been released, but he is retiring after Friday's game. It's not going to make much of a difference. I don't think he's going to play it all this week, but as I said, there can't be there should be no chance in hell of him being a Hall of Famer. There should be no chance. As I said, with him, it's the same situation with him as I find with Canseco, Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Clemens. I mean, these are all guys that have taken steroids that should never get in. The baseball writers and the people who vote for the Hall of Fame always say that their worst fear is electing somebody to the Hall of Fame and then finding out that they were a steroid user. You don't have to find out. You already know. And the fact that and the fact that he lied about it for so long, it's the same stupid steroid discussion that goes nowhere. But you got to look at it this way. When you think about the steroid discussion, this is a major part of Alex Rodriguez's playing career. Not just whether or not he took them, but just the drama that went along with it. I've been watching baseball really since the mid 90s. And the only other third baseman for the Yankees that I can remember is Scott Brocious. Going back through their history, I mean, there's the outfielders of Mantle and Maris, and then the middle infielders of Rizzuto and Boggs, who was there for a very short time, and Willie Randolph. And I can't think of many legendary third basemen who played for the Yankees. He will definitely go down as one of the best Yankee third basemen of all time. But when you throw the steroid factor in, I think it takes away from his status in the league. It doesn't necessarily take away from his status in the team, but it definitely does take away his status in the league. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, I absolutely agree with that. When he's playing, you know what? I think the suspensions, the way they have it down now, that's fine. But when it comes to the Hall of Fame, there should be a zero tolerance when it comes to the Hall of Fame as far as that's concerned. Well, Braun got the 50 game suspension, and he also gave himself what, an extra 10 or 20 games or so, because he felt as though he was doing the right thing after the torment that he put Major League Baseball through, which was absolutely embarrassing. Not just for the league, but for him as well, to find out that he lied about the whole thing. Coming back on it, that really makes you look good. Um, I think, I mean, the only guy that's gotten continuously busted by this, and go figure, it's a Met, because Lord knows if you're a Met, you're not smart enough to not be a Met. So how could you not be smart enough to not take steroids? Um, is Henry Mejia. This guy's got busted already. He got busted 3 times in a calendar year for steroids. I mean, that's absurd. A Rod's gotten caught, has not failed a drug test, which is why I said that year and a half he got suspended for biogenesis. Is I used the Brady Deflategate in my analogy in my show. Major League Baseball is sitting and looking at that, going, "Huh, that's cute." you got your guy for 4 games. We got ours for a year and a half. I mean, it's the NFL can only dream of being in baseball's league when it comes to a witch hunt like that. But I I think the fines and the penalties and that is just fine the way it is. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, though, there should be a zero tolerance policy. He hit 256, 33 home runs, and 86 RBIs last year. But this year he's been nowhere. You couldn't find him with a search party this year.
Deflategate
2000. It was the year they won the Super Bowl. So yeah, 2 years ago.
he's still producing at a level, right? Whereas Alex Rodriguez was similar Jazz situation. You mentioned he came back. He had a good season. I say great because we've seen better out of him. Um, and this year he doesn't seem. I just feel that if he had the time, I feel like his numbers would be better than they already are. Granted, anyone's would be if he didn't miss a year and a half. But I mean, with that, we're gonna take a quick break. Back, and we will be talking about the Hall of Fame game or the lack thereof. Don't go away. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mix Up Sports Live. Due to technical difficulties, you probably didn't hear
It was
anything.
more mental difficulties than technical. What happened was I keep my there's the broadcasting system that we use. There's two audio settings. There's desktop and personal mic. I keep the desktop audio off just in case when I'm switching between sites and like a pop up comes up. I forgot that Skype is also technically considered as desktop audio, and I left Krusha muted the entire first segment. So he's going to go on about A Rod for a minute, and then we'll move on.
So basically, recap of what I basically said. I feel like that if for PEDs in any situation, that it should be a one and done policy across the board, whether it's Hall of Fame, which is where Frankie did say he agreed with me on. So you kind of got the idea on that, and the fact that A Rod, I felt like he's kind of like we mentioned it. He's kind of fell off this season, and that's hence why he's going to be retiring. Um, Granted, I feel like the whole PED and the biogenesis situation really tarnished his name overall, and therefore he should not be allowed in the Hall of Fame, nor the talks of being one of the greatest players in the game. And that's pretty much about it. I could draw on for the next hour and a half about it, but not to bore you guys with the details. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame game or the lack thereof. The It was supposed to be between the Colts and the Packers after Marvin Harrison and Brett Favre were both inducted into the Hall of Fame. The game was supposed to take place, uh, and well, it didn't. And for reasons being, apparently the paint on both the end zones and the middle of the field were so bad that they actually melted the turf, making it hard as rock. Um, Played a little football myself, and I can tell you that's not how it's supposed to feel. So I can understand the situation, but it's a bit embarrassing on the NFL's part. And now they're in the process of refunding all the games, all the tickets for the Hall of Fame game. And just overall, I feel like the NFL should be embarrassed by this. The fact that people have been waiting so long for this Hall of Fame game just for it to go down the drain.
As I said, the Hall of Fame game it's a little ridiculous. It's just an extra preseason game in a time where we're trying to get rid and trying to play less games in the preseason. It's definitely it's a PR nightmare for the NFL in an era under Roger Goodell that has seen many a a PR nightmare. This is just another one on the list, but it definitely does not make the NFL look good. The best thing is though, there's preseason football coming up later in the week, which of course, as the week goes on, we'll get into. But just it leaves a very sour taste in your mouth if you're the NFL.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere where it needed to be. And even last year's game, there were reports that even D'Angelo Williams has made statements that he played in the 2015 Hall of Fame game, and he mentioned how the field conditions weren't great last year either. So it seems to be a running and recurring theme for the NFL and just overall the new stuff that they're working with. I mean, it's not really working. I mean, we saw um, even the Pittsburgh's kicker, Shauna Susam, he tore his ACL with the new turf that they've been using. I probably butchered that name, but you know, oh well. It's the NFL really need to find a time and place when they test these new things out because it's definitely not working when you're trying to set up stuff where people have gone months without football and want to have that game. I mean, Nick and I mentioned on TNT how we were like, oh great, this will be the last weekend for until the end of the season where we'll have football on Sunday, and turn around and pretty much bit us in the butt because we ran our mouth about it. Um, but no, definitely a
Yes, it's
PR.
because you guys wanted to watch the game, is that they said no.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's definitely a inside job. They told us, and we're like, well, oh well. But it's you definitely mentioned the PR problems that they've been having under Roger Goodell, and we've been seeing it time and time again. I mean, at this point, I can't really blame Roger Goodell on this one per se, but it's definitely not looking good in his aspect as far as being the commissioner of the league, and definitely not working out in his favor.
And this, believe it or not, this is 10 years. This is year number 10 for Roger Goodell as the commissioner of the league. Believe that one or not. My goodness. Where from just from from Pac-Man Jones to melted paint in the turf. Good lord, this guy's had he's had a very, very strenuous yet a very, very profitable reign as commissioner.
No, he definitely has, and it just there's not really much we can cover on this as far as the turf. I mean, all we can tell you is that it's a laughable stock as far as the NFL is concerned. But there's more than just to it in the NFL. The Olympics, the 2016 Olympics, have already taken upon us. I know personally, I'm watching a lot of the basketball. Anyone but U.S. because let's face it, the men's league in U.S. is just ridiculous.
Which
I
they're actually tied right now, I believe, 18-18 at the end of the first quarter against Venezuela.
Oh wow, but that's usually better than the 30, 40, 50 point deficits that they're just creating with everybody else. I'm personally watching the women's national team for soccer, and definitely not upset by how they've been performing already with 6 points in their group in only 2 games. Um, I know that I the Olympic basketball team for women's actually they won 103 to 63. So I definitely U.S. as far as being dominant in those aspects. It's definitely a. I mean, what are you looking into this video so far?
I've been looking at a little bit of everything. I mean, the basketball I haven't really focused on. The swimming that was on last night, I was watching a little bit of that. I mean, that girl, what was her? For goodness sake, of course,
Like Katie something, I forget her
Katie something. She sets a
Katie Ledecky.
yeah, Ledecky. I mean, she sets a world record by a full body length, which was about 2 seconds. She won that 400-meter freestyle by 5 seconds, and we still can't remember her name. That yeah, Michael Phelps winning his 19th gold medal in in Olympic competition, which is absolutely unconscious. Just flipped on women's rugby right now between Australia and New Zealand. I've been watching a little bit of everything.
And I just want to cover over to the the medal tally as far as this video is concerned. Right now, USA is in first with 13 points, 3 golds, 6 silvers, and 4 bronze, followed by China and Japan both with 10, and then Italy and Russia bringing up the top five with 9 points apiece. I mean, it's nice to see USA out there so far leading and out in the running. But I mean, it's other than that, it's an extremely close race. I mean, like I mentioned, that top five spots only 1 point apiece, separating the top or the next four.
I said it at the end of my show. I believe the Japan leading the gold medal count with 4 gold.
China.
Oh, China. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. China leading the gold medal count with 4 gold. The U.S. leading the silver count with 6, and then you have Japan leading the bronze count with 7. So it's definitely been competitive between the top three, and those top three of I mean Italy only just got knocked out of the top three, so it's been very competitive overall.
And we mentioned Russia. I mean, we've heard the controversy going on with Russia before the Rios even started, and to see them still in the top, you know, as far as dealing with inside issues already. I mean, they're still competing at a high rate. Just imagine they had the was it track and field or was it just track?
It was just the track team that was banned.
So I mean, if they still had a chance to compete, who knows? Maybe they could be the top spot, maybe second, maybe third. But I mean, it's definitely they're still nice to see this team competing. And I mean, it's I'm also looking at the bottom of the group, and so far Poland, Greece, Portugal, and Spain are all bringing it up the rear with a one. Actually, a lot. Of,
France only has one as well. They've got I think they only won 1 silver, I believe, if I remember correctly from seeing it.
yep. It's but I mean, this is they Another thing I want to talk about in the Euros so far, not the Euros, but the Olympics. Like, see, it's just soccer.
There's a lot of European nations competing. You're right, there are.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, I mean, but I just want to cover real quick. I want to talk about Brazil right now, and specifically right now their hatred of their star in soccer, with Neymar. Uh, yes, they do have soccer in the Olympics. Just for everyone else questioning,
as
it's
I
only
said,
for
it
fun.
and the rules of it are so weird because it's. Do you know what the rules are
No.
for the Olympic soccer? Okay, it is 23 and under, but you're allowed to have three players that are older than 23, and FIFA, since FIFA doesn't technically recognize the Olympics as a competition, say Barcelona didn't want Neymar competing in the Olympics, they could tell him no, and there is nothing that Neymar could do about it.
Well, they actually told him that he was either to play Olympics or in a Copa America, and he chose to go with Olympics. And right now, his own nation is hating on him because they haven't really done much in their group. But I mean, it's Brazil is definitely showing their hatred towards certain players. I want to talk about specifically Hope Solo. I'm not sure if you saw it, Frankie, but to anyone who didn't, she made a post on, I believe, her Instagram page where she had a suit basically saying she doesn't want to get Zika. Now, of course, with the whole Zika thing going on in Brazil, you can see how that would anger some Brazilians. Well, with that being said, every time that she gets a touch on the ball, you hear the crowd yelling Zika and just belittling her every chance they
Yeah, I
can
saw
get.
that. If
It's
if you're a woman, that's a very valid concern, though. I mean, if you are infected with the Zika virus and you're a woman, you have children coming out looking like a Picasso painting. I mean, it's nothing to mess around with. I know that sounds like I'm taking it lightly and making a joke about it, but it is very very serious, the effects of the Zika virus and what they could do.
Yeah, it is, and then she is even coming out saying that she wants to look forward to having a family, and it's kind of hard to do that when your babies or you're scared that your children are gonna have a horrible future going up because of. Let's face it, we don't like bullying. We no one likes it, but in this day and age, people are such bullies, and even by her making comments about her wanting to be safe, people are bullying and belittling her. I mean, we live in a world where being safe is considered, you know, weak and getting made fun of. So
It,
it's definitely I can see where she's coming from for her children in the future.
I mean, like I said to you off air, if people want to, people have a lot of outcry and there's a lot of anarchy going on in this world right now. If you want to like focus your anger at something, focus your anger on the fact that we only have between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton to pick from. That's something that's good that you can focus your anger towards, not trying to belittle somebody for wanting to be healthy.
And not to get political, we're gonna try to move away from it, as far as the Zika thing and political standpoint. But it's basically so far the Olympics aren't even anywhere close to being over, and I'm so far looking forward to. I mean, like we mentioned, the tight race. But with that, when we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna discuss transfer news. Paul Pogba? Question mark. everybody, welcome back. And I mentioned the transfer news. I want to open up with, of course, one that touches me dearly as a sports fan. Let's get that straight. It possibly Paul Pogba was rumored to be going to Man United for a 120 million deal, I believe. Could set the record, but there was nothing on the word of Juventus. Now, sources have come out and stated that Paul Pogba has touched down in Manchester, preparing to take a medical exam for Man United. Which good signs. Pretty much all insinuates that it's all but a done deal, and for him to be joining back with Man United since his departure from the club in 2012. And to stay on the Man United train real quick, they just won the Community Shield, showing off their talents of newly acquired Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And Frankie, I know that he's your favorite player in the world. Why don't
Yeah,
you
thanks to Big Nose Mick Disloyalty Douchey Doucherson Ibrahimovic. Yeah, so good on you with that. As far as Paul Pogba goes, as an Inter Milan fan, thank you for taking him away. Now we don't have to worry about playing him. We can focus on the other nine guys that they have. And I mean, from a Chelsea fan standpoint, thanks for just making it a little bit harder to beat you guys again.
no, it's definitely nice to see these new added players because let's face it, this Jose Mourinho now being the manager of our squad. I mean, we pretty much have a full new outlook.
Who I love, by the way.
I mean, I wouldn't see why not.
One that's
um,
won the treble with Inter. He is forever in our hearts.
yeah, he's definitely given us a new look that has essentially put us already in a spot that we haven't been before. I mentioned it both on and off the air. As far as what we needed from him was basically essentially to go out and get us a better attacking force. Because I mean, with under Louis Van Gaal, we were all right as far as defensive is concerned. You know, we didn't give up a lot. Granted, we had some holes that need to be fixed, and we got that situated. But we needed more of attacking because we were one of the few teams that could score like other teams could. You know, we weren't Man City, we weren't Leicester City this season. We weren't anywhere close to where we are used to being as far as scoring. So I said we need to focus on that with him as our manager. Sure enough, we've gone out and get Mkhitaryan from Borussia Dortmund. We got Ibrahimovic, like I mentioned. And now if we can get Paul Pogba, this team looks dangerous each and every time I look and check, you know, the news line about them because they are getting new players every time I turn around. So I mean, it's definitely sad to see from everybody else as a team in the EPL, including Chelsea.
Yeah, would you call this the phasing out of the Wayne Rooney era? Maybe with the injection of youth, the Yankees have sort of faded out Mark Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez to the point of retirement. Now, do you think that this offensive injection at the forward spots has sort of faded Wayne Rooney out?
I would say yes, but not to the extent of having them retire within 3 or 4
Oh no, I
years.
don't think. Oh no, I don't think Rooney's going to retire anytime soon. Just
I just you could argue that it's maybe not the Ibrahimovic one because of let's face it, it's only a 1 year contract, and Ibrahimovic is already getting up in that age. Um,
and we all know him to be the most loyal person in the world. Goes
Summer
to
is always so salty.
he goes to Barcelona for 3 years, and I'm a Real Madrid fan. I'm not a Barcelona fan. He goes to Real Madrid on a 3 year contract. Says this is the jersey I've always wanted to wear. I'm so thankful. I'm so happy. My dream team. He's there for 1 year. Has a relationship with PK, and then he bolts for Paris Saint Germain. Good job. Way to stay loyal. Best uniform in the world. Did the same thing with Inter. Did the same thing with AC Milan. I mean, did the same thing with Ajax. I mean, really? Come on.
And that tells you ladies and gentlemen, the relationship in which Frankie indulges on with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and I mean that's pretty much about it. We're gonna wrap up today's show a little bit early. Frank, I believe you have the score from yesterday's MLB.
I do have the scores from baseball yesterday, but really quick, the U.S. men's basketball team is currently winning right now. I believe 31 to 32, 22 against Venezuela right now. Carmelo Anthony is 2 points away from passing Michael Jordan on the all-time list for point scoring for the United States. Um, two Major League Baseball from yesterday. Masahiro Tanaka picks up his eighth win of the season. Dylan Betances his second save, and Didi Gregorius his 13th and game-winning home run as the New York Yankees defeat the Cleveland Indians 3-2. The Minnesota Twins defeating the Tampa Bay Rays 6-3. The New York Mets salvaged the final game of their series against the Detroit Tigers 3-1. The Cincinnati Reds over the Pittsburgh Pirates 7-3. Nationals barely squeak out a win on the home run by Wilson Ramos. That was one of just two hits for the Nationals in a 1-0 win against the San Francisco Giants. The Baltimore Orioles defeat the Chicago White Sox 10-2. The Houston Astros outlast the Texas Rangers outlast the Houston Astros 5-3 in 11 innings. The Atlanta Braves beating the St. Louis Cardinals 6-3. The Kansas City Royals over the Toronto Blue Jays 7-1. The Chicago Cubs beating the Oakland Athletics in Oakland on home runs by Bryant and Soler 3-1. The Seattle Mariners complete the sweep of the LA Angels 3-1. The Miami Marlins over the Colorado Rockies 10-7. The Arizona Diamondbacks over the Milwaukee Brewers 9-3. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the San Diego Padres 6-5. And with their loss last night to the Dodgers, their 8-5 loss last night to the Dodgers, the Boston Red Sox have now fallen out of that second place spot in the wild card. They are now a game behind, or a game or a half a game. Is it behind the Detroit Tigers?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we're not hoping happens from here on out. From tonight's games include at 7:07 we have the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Blue Jays. At 7:10 we have the Giants going to Miami to take on the Marlins. At 7:20 we have the Braves going up against the Brewers. At 8:10 we have the Houston Astros taking on the Minnesota Twins. At 8:15 we have the Cincinnati Reds taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. At 8:40 we have the Rangers taking on the Rockies. At 10:05 we had the Orioles going to Oakland to take on the Athletics. At 10:10 we had the Tigers taking on the Mariners, and last but not least, also at 10:10 the Philadelphia Phillies going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Just while you were reading those scores, Carmelo Anthony hits three. He is now past Michael Jordan for the most points on the all-time U.S. men's basketball team. Just by 1 point, I believe that brings his total up to, I want to say, there it is, 258, passing Michael Jordan by 1 point. The NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series at Watkins Glen this weekend. Joey Logano wins the Xfinity Series race in a race that Brad Keselowski ruined. Keselowski and Logano were really the only two competitive cars in the Xfinity Series race, and with 6 laps to go, Keselowski breaks his track bar mount in the right rear, which essentially ends his race and hands an easy as you like win to Joey Logano. It was not as easy as you like on Sunday after a couple of wild restarts and a red flag inside the final 10 laps. Denny Hamlin comes away with his first road course win at Watkins Glen, and his first laps led at Watkins Glen, and they lead to his first road course win at Watkins Glen as well. Also, sad news coming from the world of sprint cars. One of their drivers, Clausen, who was from a crash earlier this week, passed away earlier today, at the age of 7.
Very, very sad news, and we all send our condolences to the family. And with that, today's show we're going to end a bit early, like I mentioned. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Be sure to check out the rest of this week for the rest of our shows. I believe you mentioned that it's very, very slight chance that you actually have a show tomorrow, Frankie.